Freeze frame, freeze frame, freeze frame. Woo! That is right. It is almost that time. We are coming at you live from deep inside the Area 51 marketing bunker. And we've got some good stuff for you today. So hold on tight, grab the reins. It's going to be good. Almost there. We're almost live. Or are we Memorex? Am I just, what do you call it? A lookalike. One of the lookalike audiences. Time to grab your coffee, one last sip, and get ready to rock and roll. Yeah, it is 7 o'clock and it's time to rock. And my name is Matthew Zupon with Creation Internet Services, creationis.com, bringing to you Area 51 Marketing Conspiracy Exposed. That's right, tips and techniques that the big digital marketing companies don't want you to know about. Why? Because they're trying to protect their secret sauce. Okay, guess what? There's no such thing as secret sauce. It just doesn't exist. So like I said, I am Area 51. If you haven't seen my little guy right there, this is my Area 51 marketing mug. And I like to show that off. A friend of mine gave that to me a couple years ago for my birthday or Christmas or something like that. He found an old picture of me at, yeah, this was before I pasted this on. So I glue this on every morning. It's just like tough. But anyway, this was actually at the Grand Canyon. I was at the Grand Canyon. And on my side of the Grand Canyon, it was really cool. It was nice, it was warm, it was sunny and everything. But behind me is the north rim of the Grand Canyon. And a storm was coming in. And it was like laying down a layer of snow across the north rim of the canyon. It was really weird. And so, I don't know, someone took that picture, made a mug out of it. And that's my little mug story. Okay. Everyone's got a mug shot. This is mine. But hey, no, seriously, got some good stuff. You know, the last couple of days we've been talking about the emailing, the email sequence. And I've been taking some little tips out of the book, showing you Area 51 Marketing Conspiracy Exposed. This is my new #1 bestseller. You can get it at area51marketingconspiracyexposed.com. I'm giving away the book for free right now because I believe that every business owner and entrepreneur needs to hear this stuff and needs to have it in their hands to help them build their business, grow their business, and escalate their business. So you can get it for free at the website, or you can get it at Amazon if you want. You pay more for it, but that's the way it is. So anyway, this is great stuff that I'm trying to help people with. And right now we've been talking about one of the sections in my book is the lifeblood of your digital marketing campaign. What does that mean? Well, if you've been following along, it talks about your lead funnels, how to get more leads, how to get, you know, everybody needs more leads. And if you really think about that, what does that mean? It doesn't mean anything. For most people, what is leads? And it just sounds so, I don't know, it sounds so sterile. It just doesn't sound good, right? So let's put it this way. How to get more potential customers into your store, right? And we've been breaking down the 5 email sequence of what to do. You get them in to your funnel, the place where you want them to be, so that you can continually connect with them afterwards, whether they buy or not. And the biggest problem that I see, even now, is that businesses are trying to sell you something. Sell, sell, sell. It's an old, traditional mindset. And if you get stuck in that mindset, then you can't go forward. So here's what happens. And, you know, somebody gets a traditional business, they get online, they're doing their business, and then they go, well, you know what, I'm going to get online. You know, everyone's getting online. Well, 25 years ago, almost 25 years ago, people were saying the same thing. They were going, hey, this website stuff, that might take off. I should get a website. Or they were saying, wow, the business down the road's getting a website. I should get a website. Well, why? You didn't know why they're getting a website, so why should you get a website? So people were getting websites. They're doing it for all the wrong reasons. So they get a website, and it ends up in one of the three categories that I described in my book. And this category is the worst category to be in. This is not where you want to be. And I call it the website that collects internet dust. That's it. You get a website for the wrong reasons, and then it gets online. You pay a bunch of money, you put a website up, and then you don't do anything with it. It just sits there. It collects dust. It's like, Aunt Bertha, she gives you this wacky Christmas thing, and you put it up on the shelf, and you look at it and go, wow, thanks, appreciate that. Yeah, it's the thought that counts. Right now, it's just taking up space and it's collecting dust. That's it. It's not the greatest thing in the world. And if you don't do anything with your website, that's all it's going to do is collect dust. And then what happens? The business owner gets discouraged. He's like, well, this website stuff just doesn't work. This website stuff is not working for me. It's just, I don't know why anyone wants it. And they just leave it. And it just sits there, and they pay the hosting every year, and they pay for the domain name every year, and it just keeps getting worse, and the dust keeps getting thicker and thicker and thicker. And they're going, that whole online stuff doesn't work. Then social media came along. All right. Well, there was no social media when I started. Google didn't even exist when I started. So social media started to come along, and businesses were like, you know what? I'm going to sit back and watch that, see how that goes. And other people were getting on social media, and finally they say, well, maybe I should get on social media too. Maybe I should just be part of that too. So everyone else is doing it, so I'm going to do it. Again, you did it for the wrong reasons. You get on social media, and what do? You let it sit there. You create an account. I don't know how many businesses I know that have a Facebook account, and it's been sitting there for 5, 10, 15 years almost. And it just, out of that whole time, they've maybe made 5, 10 posts. So it's like one post a year. Nobody's going to take you seriously if you're doing one post a year on social media. And if every time you make a post, all you're doing is saying, hey, buy my product, buy my product, buy my product, nobody's going to take you seriously. Nobody wants to hear that on social media. So again, if you're on it for the wrong reasons, you're not going to use it correctly. And I always say that, a tool, when used correctly, can be a great asset to your business. But you wouldn't use a hammer to fix a fine gold watch, right? That's not the right tool for the job. And that's what people do. They're trying to hammer, buy my product. I'm going to sell you something. I've got this really cool product. I think it's the greatest thing in the world. And now I'm going to force you to believe that this is the greatest thing in the world. Well, that's a backwards philosophy to begin with. Okay, I've got this great product. I think it's great. And now I've got to sell you and spend lots of money on marketing, wasting lots of money on marketing, trying to convince you that my product is great and that you need my product, because everybody needs my product. Everybody needs this thing. I know it's going to revolutionize the world and everyone should have it. Well, you know what? It's a whole lot easier to do your marketing if you go, hey, what do you need? And then create the product to answer that problem. That's called a buying atmosphere, not a selling atmosphere. But that's a little bit off topic, and we're not going to talk about that today. What we're dealing with is businesses who get online and they're doing it wrong. They're using a hammer to fix a watch, and you can't do that. That would be like using one of those fine precision screwdrivers to try and build a house. You can't do that. It doesn't work. So if you're using the wrong tool or you're using it incorrectly, then obviously it's not going to work. You're not going to go anywhere. You're not going to be able to build anything. You're not going to be able to do whatever it is you want to do. So here's an example. A business gets online, they get on social media, they're stuck in the traditional mindset of sell, 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 and they're trying to do the same thing online. The whole point of social media is to be social. And we've been talking about that, and I talk about it in my book, but we've been talking about that is the social part of being social. Now, the landscape has changed. Everything about the landscape has changed. And it was changing rapidly before this whole pandemic thing started going on. But now there are more people online than ever before. And there's a lot of businesses that are trying to jump online and okay, now I can't get people into my store. So now I got to figure out a way to get to them and get them to, buy from me. So they use the same techniques. They get online. That's a good start. But they try to use the same techniques that they were using before. When you're advertising in the newspaper, it's sell, sell, sell. It's buy now, buy now, buy now. I'm going to create a special, I'm going to create a 10% off discount. You bring in the coupon and I've got a new customer. Great. I make a sale. Super. That's awesome. What are you going to do afterwards? So the last few days, we've been talking about the funnel, why it's important to have a funnel, bringing people into what I call the customer value journey. And if you bring them into the journey with you and you take them on the journey with you, now you've got a customer for life, or you can if you do it right. So yesterday we talked about, the day before we talked about the 5 email sequence. So we talked about the sequence of events that you want to do once you get them into the funnel. So maybe you have an ad over here on the Facebook, on the Google, on whatever it is, the Yahoo. You get them into your funnel, you've attracted them into your funnel, you've exchanged an ethical exchange of something of value to get their email address. And now we have the 5 email sequence. Well, the 5 email sequence doesn't end there. Know, like, trust, wind up, and pitch. I want to get to know them, to get to like them, and I use those emails to build a relationship. So that's one way to do it. But the same thing is happening on social media. If you're using the same philosophy on social media, then you're going to attract more people to your funnel. And once you get more people in your funnel, then you're using that philosophy to build the relationship. And yesterday I talked about, the farmer. My grandfather was a farmer, and I lived with him for a number of years. And every spring, what would we do? We would go buy seed to plant. New wheat seed or corn or barley or whatever it is that we were planting that season. And that's kind of like your funnel, is the buying of the seed. Okay, it's each seed can yield up to 100-fold, right? So that's why you have the seed. And the seed you have to nurture in order for it to grow so that it can be harvested. So you've got this long nurturing season. And that's what your funnel does. That's what the email sequence does. That's what, after they become a customer, because the first funnel that they come into, I call them the potential customer. And you're getting to know, like, and trust them. That's the planting of the seed. we're planting it. You know, you got to till the ground. You got to get the ground prepared. There's several things that happen, and I hated this part. You know, when you're a kid, you don't want to go out into the fields and have to pick up rocks. But in order to, yeah, we had to go. You know, it was rock picking season. Oh, whoop-de-doo, man! I hated that part. That was just, and we'd throw them into the big, gigantic tractor with a huge bucket on the front of it, and we'd fill that up, and then we'd go dump them into the rock pile, and then we'd go fill it up again. And you know, when you got an 80-acre field and you're picking up rocks and you're looking for all the big ones that would break the machines that would plant the seed. So you got to pick the rocks, and then they churn the soil, and then they dig the furrows to plant the seeds, and then all of those things have to happen before you really even get anything else going on. So with the seed, you have to buy fertilizer. So now you've got seed and fertilizer to help it grow. So we would go out every spring and we would do this. This is what your funnel is like. Know, like, and trust. Buy the seed, prepare the ground, pick the rocks, prepare the ground, churn it up a little bit so that when you come in with your tractor that has the machine that plants the seed, it's not going to break the planting equipment. Okay, that's really why you pick rocks in the spring. So you do all of that stuff, you prepare the ground, and then finally you get to plant the seed. And that's just the beginning. That's what when you're doing marketing, or even when you're on Facebook and you're just trying to get to build relationships, that's what you have to do. You have to overcome those things first before you can, oh, we're going to sell. Well, you know what? You don't sell your harvest in the spring. You got to wait until you actually harvest it, right? So you move it, you move people along, you get to know, like, and trust them. And we talked about that yesterday. Yesterday, we actually talked about the structure of your email. So, and you're using that same structure in each of your emails, building up relationships, nurturing the new relationship that you just got from your first funnel, because remember, you just got them onto your email list, and now they're part of your world. And so now, because they're part of your world, you have that chance to nurture them and build them along, giving them value and benefit every single day. Get out there. People spend thousands and thousands of dollars trying to get new customers into their funnel, into their store, into their business. And yet, once they get them there, they don't spend any time nurturing them and carrying them along the customer value journey. Oh, yeah, they call it, customer satisfaction. Well, you know what? The first funnel, there's no customer satisfaction because they're not customers yet. You still got to nurture them to even become customers. They don't become customers right away. A lot of them are not going to be buying from you right away. That's not the funnel we're talking about. We're talking about those who are potential customers. Those who might have not bought today, but if you build a relationship with them, will buy tomorrow or the next day. Don't rush the process. Get to know them. Let them get to know you. So you have your email sequence, and then finally you get to the point where you wind up, boom, and you make the pitch. Okay? You plant the seed. You're watering the seed. All summer long, you're nurturing the seed. You're taking care of it. And I'm not saying that your emails, you're going to be sending out emails every single day for the next 3 months before you try and sell them something. Because, yeah, obviously you want to sell them something. You want to offer them something that they want. But in the first few emails, what are you doing? You're trying to find out even more, pinpoint, narrow it down, what exactly it is that you want. The wants and desires. A lot of people say wants, needs, and desires. But most people buy because of their wants and their desires, not because of their need. They justify what they buy by creating a need inside their mind. I need this. Okay, well, you know what? Truthfully, a lot of things that people buy you don't need, but I want it, and then I justify it by trying to come up with reasons of why I think I need it. Oh, I need it right now. I have to have it right now. So a lot of people were getting extra money from the government and stuff like that. What did they do? Guess what? 70-inch televisions sales shot through the roof. Seriously? Is there any need there? No. It's a want and a desire. It's a want and a desire. So if you can figure out what the want and desire is, then they can justify the need. Oh, I need that today. Well, a lot of things, even things I buy, I don't need them today. I don't need them right now. I want it. I have a desire for it. That's what you're doing in your email sequence. You're taking them along the journey. You're getting to know them. You're offering them value and benefit every single day, or whatever, however many days you're sending out your emails. And then eventually you're going to say, oh, well, here, you know what? I understand that you have this want. We'll call it a need. You need this. You want this. You have this problem or concern about something. Well, here I've got a solution. So now I'm going to offer it to you. And instead of just trying to say, you need my product, I'm going to say, oh, you want my product? Well, guess what? You want a product like this? Oh, here, I happen to have one. And they're going to go, oh, yeah, I want that. That's great. I'm going to buy it. So now I've got a buying atmosphere, and people are buying from me instead of me trying to sell them something. Sell is like this. Buying is like this. I open my hands. Here it is. And you tell me if you want it. But everyone needs it. No, not everyone does. I only want the people who want my product in my funnels. And so once they buy, what do? Once they buy, they move on to a new funnel. It's a new place. And that's where you're building that customer value journey even more. So now they become a customer. And what do I want to do with that customer? I want to take them on a new journey. This is a new place. I want to take them along the path, and I want to develop the relationship so that they become my best loyal customer. So there's 3 stages of every business. You have a potential customer, you have your customer, and your best potential customer. We're going to talk about the best potential customer another time. But once they become a customer, I still have them in my email list, but I start to talk to them differently. Do they go into a new email sequence? Yes. They go into a brand new email sequence, similar to the first one, but not exactly the same. Why? Because now we've started to build even more of a relationship. So you talk to them differently. You talk to them differently, a little more, possibly more friendly, whatever it is. But do I still have the same sequence? Yeah, 5 sequence. Okay, we go along to the sequence. And do you have more emails than 5? Yeah, absolutely. We're not going to go into those. What do you do after the first 5? But we want to build that relationship in the first 5 so that build that expectation like we talked about yesterday. And we want to grow. And again, that's like the water throughout the season. Okay, and do you have to go out and pick weeds? Yeah. I remember in my grandma's garden, man, the weeds, if you didn't take care of the weeds, you know, the plants wouldn't grow. They would get choked off, the roots would get choked off, the weeds would come in and they would choke off. And eventually, if you didn't take care of them all summer long, then it pretty much killed the entire garden. Does that mean I still don't have the plant there? Yeah, I have a customer, I have an email, I have someone in my list. But if I don't, first, I got to nurture it. Then you got to water it. Then you got to pull the weeds. Know, like, and trust. Picture it that way. Know, like, and trust. You got to pull the weeds so that that can grow. You're building that relationship. You might even have to soften up and till the ground a little bit so that when it does rain, the water gets down into the roots better. There's all kinds of things that need to happen. I don't know about you, but if you ever planted potatoes, you understand what I'm talking about. You gotta kind of churn up the ground a little bit so that the roots can get even, the potatoes can grow better. So it's a process. And this is where a lot of businesses don't want to take the time and build the process. Once they become a customer, okay, they're planted in the ground, the seed starts to grow. It starts to, there's that relationship going on. It starts to come up out of the ground, but I still have to protect it. I still have to take care of it. I still have to nurture it. I have to weed the weeds out of the way. That means I have to be out in the garden. I have to be in contact with that customer. I don't have to try and sell them every single time I send an email. I want to nurture it so that when it's time to send an email that I want to sell something, I can. And guess what? Because of that relationship, they're going to go, oh yeah, that's really great. All summer long you've been taking care of me. And now it's time to give some back. It's time to get some of that gold. And yeah, I want to buy that. I want to buy that. That's really cool. I want to buy that. And then they move on the next part of the journey. It doesn't end there. It keeps going. The journey never really stops. It just keeps going and going around and around. But as long as your person is in your world now, you got to take care of them. And sometimes you take that customer and, you're not going to be selling them something right away. Well, let's say you sell mattresses. Well, what are you going to do? Send them emails for the next 8 years because the average life of a mattress is like 8 years. Well, yeah, that's exactly what you're going to do. You're going to take care of them for 8 years so that at the end of that 8 years, guess what? They're going to be thinking of you because you've been taking care of them all this time. You've been offering value and benefit. Well, how do you offer value and benefit with a mattress for 8 years? Well, that's one of those things where you get businesses, and yeah, in the beginning especially, I highly recommend, if you don't know how to do this, I highly recommend in the beginning that yes, you are sending out emails on a constant basis. The problem is most businesses don't send out enough emails. And the very first time they get in, they might send a thank you email and then nobody hears from them for a month. No. You can't just take seed out into a farm on the ground and just throw seed out there. That's what you're doing. You're just throwing it on top of the ground. And some of the seed falls on rocky ground, and some of the seed falls on dry ground, and some of the seed falls on good ground. And you might get a little bit of growth, but unless you water it and nurture it throughout the rest of the summer, the sun is going to beat down, and even the good seed that starts to grow is going to die. And they're going to move on, and they're going to be thinking of somebody else, and you've lost a customer. Okay? Because your customer, once they become your customer, even your potential customer, are so precious to every single business. And it's not about the sale. It's about the reason people keep coming back to a business is because of the relationship. Okay. And then, the businesses, the new ones, I started in the beginning, started talking about businesses getting online and doing it incorrectly. Well, what happens if I get online 5 years ago and my store hours change? And, I set up my account, maybe Facebook, Twitter, whatever it is. I got something on LinkedIn, and I decided I'm going to change my store hours. And I forget to go to all these places that I thought I should be on, and I don't change my store hours. Or I sign up for somebody to, basically, we're going to do online orders. And here's the example. Yesterday, I went to a website. There's a little place down the road that does online orders. I wanted some Chinese food yesterday. I'm just so tired of burgers and other stuff and cooking for myself or making pasta, whatever it is. I'm just like, man, I really want some Chinese food. So I go online, and no place on their website did it say that they were closed for Memorial Day. No place. We're open. Click here to order online and pick it up, Okay, I clicked there. I made an order. No place in the entire system or process did it stop me from making an order when they are closed. Pickup was immediate. Oh, when do you want to pick up? Now, in just a couple minutes. I'm going to be right there. I want to get the food started going, and I'll be there in a few minutes. They're just up the street. So I waited a couple minutes, and no place in the entire process, from their website to their social media, none of it said they were closed on Memorial Day. So I get down there, I paid my money, I went to get my food, and there's a sign on the door that says closed for Memorial Day. This is what's going on with businesses today. They're jumping online, they're doing all this stuff, or those that have been online and haven't done anything with it, they're not updating their contact information. They're not letting people know exact hours. I had a friend of mine who wanted to go to a restaurant that she had frequented prior to this whole pandemic thing, and they were trying to figure out, is the store open? It was a little restaurant, just, are they open? Are they delivering? Are they doing drive-up service? What hours are they open? Have they changed their hours? Have they done all of this stuff? And you know what? She went to 4 different platforms. Their website had one set of hours. Their Facebook page had a different set of hours. They actually had a LinkedIn page that had a different set of hours. None of them were the same, and none of them were updated. And then she tried to call. She finally got a phone number. She tried to call and say, hey, are you guys open? Well, the recording said they're open on Tuesdays and Thursdays. And so it was a Tuesday. Well, no one was answering the phones. And then they were only open between this hour and this hour. Well, we're only open right now during the pandemic between 1 and 4. And none of that was clear anywhere. So here, this business that could have been doing business was not clear in their message. All of their online platforms, because they weren't taking them seriously, were not updated. How are you going to stay in business? If the only way you can do business is online, then you better get your information correct. Now I'm out $15 because I made an order yesterday. I paid for it. I went to pick up my food. I'm out $15. Well, I'll get it back. Yeah, of course I can talk to the credit card company, or I can go in today and, maybe they'll have my food ready today. I don't know. But that's not the point. The point is nothing in all of their online stuff told me that they were closed yesterday. And that in their processing to be able to make an order online, it should not have worked if it was using the right tool for the right job. If your store is not open, you should not be taking orders online for delivery that day. Right? You're using the wrong tool for the wrong job, or you're using it incorrectly. And that's what's going on. We're missing the email sequencing. They get people into their funnel. They finally, get them an email list, and they don't email people. And then maybe somebody becomes a customer and they buy something from you. And then what do? You don't really follow up. So there's none of that. And so what's the point of having a funnel to get those emails into your world if you're not nurturing it? What's the point of a farmer buying seed and then taking that seed, keeping it in those burlap sacks, and taking all of those bags of seed? That's great, man. We used to do that every spring. Taking those bags of seed and throwing them into the warehouse. We had we call it a warehouse, but it wasn't really a warehouse. It was just kind of a big shed where every spring when we bought the bags of seed, we would stack up everything in there. We'd have these stacks of seed. Well, that's what a lot of people are doing. They might actually create a funnel, get people in, get email addresses, but it's like taking that seed and then throwing it into the shed and leaving it there all spring, all summer, all fall. And guess what? By the time winter comes around, the only thing eating that seed are the mice. It's eating it away. It's rotting away. And all those people that you collect leads from, email addresses and all of that stuff, instead of preparing the ground, nurturing the ground, taking care of it all summer long so that you can harvest eventually, you want to take care of it. But you got to actually plant it. So you're planting the seed. But there's a lot of things that happen before you can plant the seed. There's a lot of things that happen after you plant the seed. And then there's a lot of things that happen all summer long, that you're taking care of that seed. You're taking care of the plant that's now starting to grow. That's what happens when you get them into your funnel. You get them in, you plant the seed. That's somebody who's not your customer yet, and they start to grow. Maybe they bought something from you. Now they're part of your planting process, and you're still nurturing them. They buy something, but just because you have a customer doesn't mean they're going to be loyal to you. You have to nurture that loyalty. You have to build a process to get them to become loyal customers. So once you get a customer, and I always compare it to Kit Kats. I'm not a loyal customer of where I buy a Kit Kat from. It's a one-time sale. Just because I buy a Kit Kat doesn't mean I'm a loyal, up here at 7-Eleven one time, driving by, get some gas, grab a Kit Kat. I'm not loyal to 7-Eleven to buy Kit Kats or anything else for that matter. But, you can get a Kit Kat anywhere. So people shop, they don't shop on price. They don't shop on, whatever it is. I desire a Kit Kat. I'm going to buy it wherever it's convenient. That's it. But what do you want? You want someone that's going to be loyal to you. So you build a loyalty program. First, you take care of the seed as a potential customer. Once they become a customer, you take them on a new journey, and you're cultivating that seed, and you've cultivated what you've planted, and now you bring them into that place where they become your most loyal customer. And that's the customer that you want. That is the ultimate goal for every business. That customer that tells everybody about you and your value and the benefit that you offer them all the time. And especially when you're not trying to sell them something. Because they get tired of that. That's not the point. It's like continually planting seed. I'm planting seed. Well, you know what? All you get is a stack of seed in the middle of a field, and it's going to rot and die, and they're just going to go away. And you're like, I don't want to be sold every time I get an email from you. That's not what I want. But if you're, during the times when you're not selling them something, if you're offering value to them, giving them something more, benefit, there's your customer service journey right there. That's your customer service journey. It's to give them stuff, not just when they buy, but it's all in between the sale. That's when they become your best, most loyal customer. And that's a long journey. It's just a continual process. You got to take care of them all the way around. So this is what I have for you today. Talking about that bit of a journey. We're talking about that 5 email sequence. Once they become a customer, they move on to a new sequence. We start to talk to them differently. We start to offer them different things. We start to actually, we want to get them to feel like they are something even more special, right? I don't talk to my kids one way. I talk to my kids one way. I talk to my wife differently. I talk to my dad differently. So when you get to certain points in the journey, you speak differently, right? All of that stuff. I talk to a stranger differently than I talk to my family. Someone I just met, I talk to them differently. I might be a little standoffish, and surprisingly, I'm a little bit shy when I first meet people. I'm like, yeah, Hi, how you doing? Oh, yeah, okay. And so I got to warm up to them. Takes me a little bit, but once I warm up, well, all bets are off. No, I'm just kidding. Anyway, that's what I have for you today. My name is Matthew Zupon, and I'm bringing you Area 51 Marketing Conspiracy Exposed. Tips and techniques that the big digital marketing companies don't want you to know about. And I've got a lot of them written right here in my book. This is my new #1 bestseller, Area 51 Marketing Conspiracy Exposed. You can get it at area51marketingconspiracyexposed.com. I'm giving away this book right now to anyone who wants it. For business owners and for entrepreneurs, I think it's just vitally important to grab a copy of this book. And all you take care of is the shipping and handling. But I talk about the same email sequence that I've been going through over the last couple of days. We've been kind of touching on some of the points in this book, like on page 157. Woo, what's the biggest problem? Reaching a cold audience, right? Well, how do you reach a cold audience? How do you turn them into a warm audience? Then once they're a warm audience, how do you make them a hot audience? And that's the one that's just buying from you. Okay, so how do you do all those things? Why is the money in the list? Okay, and the gold is in the follow-up. Well, that's kind of what we've been talking about this week, is the money, getting the money in the list. That's like buying the seed, but the gold is in the follow-up, and that's the harvest, right? So we got all of those things going on inside my book. And that is pretty much all that I have. I'm here every morning at 7 o'clock and sharing these things. If you have comments or things like that, awesome. I love to hear from people. I'm going to scoot in a little bit closer. Whoa, yeah, Houston. No, Houston Denham. How you doing today? Good to see you. See, that's my Facebook thing going on there. If you ever wonder how to do Facebook and YouTube at the same time, well, this is what I'm doing. It's kind of weird. And podcast. Wow, you can do 3 things at once. Yoo-hoo! Wow, it really is. I got my phone over here doing the recording for the Facebook thing. I've got another camera over here, which is attached to my PC, and that's doing the YouTube live, which is really great. I love it. And then, of course, the audio, I take this, I've got a screen capture software, which is recording the audio so that you can turn that into a podcast or you can turn it into whatever you want to do. It's just really cool. So if you ever wanted to figure out how to do that, it took me a while to figure that one out, but it's really neat. Anyway, that's all I have for you today. Kind of a short day. Only 40 minutes, right? A little wave back. And if there are no questions or anything like that, once again, my name is Matthew Zupon. I'll be here every morning, 7 a.m., bringing you the tips and techniques to help you build and grow your business, one building block at a time. And I'll see you tomorrow morning. Have a great day.